Hello everybody, Shadow here, and welcome back to Virtue's Last Reward. We are with Luna.
I'm a little late to say this, but
Hi.
you know Alice is still in the infirmary.
Yes.
So,
You're saying we should pick Ally, right? Since Alice is going to default to that anyway.
yes.
I know. It's not really fair to betray someone who isn't voting. Luna's face broke into a warm, happy smile. Not to be sappy, but it was like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. I grinned back at her before I knew what I was doing. For a minute, the nonary game didn't seem so scary.
10 seconds remain until Ambidex game polling closes.
Got it!
9, 8,
Yep.
7,
Ba-da-doo-doo-doo, da-ba-ba-ba-boo.
5,
Yes.
4, 3,
We understand.
1.
Ally! Vote has been recorded. Please wait.
Round 2 results.
Yes.
Thank you, Ambidex.
You're welcome.
Games.
And thank you for opening the door. Luna and I stepped out of the AB room. Alright, let's go have a look at the
Okay.
results.
Results from round 2 of the
Right.
Please direct your attention to the results screen.
Okay. Okay, how'd this go? Can Quirk betray? Yeah! betray, ally! Excuse me? Excuse me? Alice?
Points have been assigned
Alice?
or subtracted accordingly.
Excuse me?
Please check your bracelet to
Ooh,
see your
I'm-
updated bracelet points.
Well, bye everyone, I'm dead. What? It wasn't possible. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and looked again. No, that's not possible. How can Alice's vote be betray? It was a question I would never know the answer to. There was a sharp, quick pain in my wrist, barely even noticeable. I couldn't feel anything flowing into my veins, but I knew it was there. First would be the anesthetic, Soparil. Oh, everything's getting wobbly. I blinked and my vision started to blur. When I tried to think, it felt like my mind had been stuffed with cotton. My legs began to wobble, then gave out entirely as I crumpled to the floor.
Sigma! Sigma! Hang on! Oh no! Sigma! Get up!
Sigma! Sigma!
No. Why?
My eyelids felt like they were made of lead, but I forced them open. Everything was growing blurry, but I noticed that the door of the second AB room was open. No one had gone into that room. I'd watched them all. And yet, there she stood. An apparition that couldn't possibly be real. Alice? The world was gradually going black, and my mouth refused to form words, but my head echoed with questions. How? Why? What was she doing there? Had she run in at the last moment after Luna and I entered our room? But even if she had, why choose betray? Then the darkness closed over my mind as well, and my questions were gone forever. Oh boy, we're dead now. Okay. Well, we'll save here, but we'll save over it later. Okay, well, we're almost halfway there, it looks like, actually. A little bit less. Okay, well now we're going back to here. And now time to go against Luna's wishes by choosing betray. I'm sorry, Luna, but this is a matter of survival. Ba-da-ba-da. Lewin and I stepped out of the AB room.
Why? What happened to... It's not fair to betray someone who isn't voting.
That's a good question.
I thought...
There was nothing I could think of to say. Even I didn't really understand why I'd picked betray instead. It almost felt unconscious, like some other part of my mind was making the decision. Perhaps I had been possessed by some sort of evil spirit that had moved my finger to the betray button against my will. Right. Well, we should go see the results.
Really? We already know what they are. It's just simple math.
I don't think you understand the situation. The look in her eyes was more painful than any punch I'd ever taken. I turned away and almost ran towards the projector. Anything to get away from those eyes. Here we go.
Results
A board
from
full
round
of
2
betray.
of the ambit. Please direct your attention to the results screen.
Roger Dodger. Betray, betray! Betray, betray! 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 Oh boy.
Points have been. Please check
Right.
your.
What? It wasn't possible. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and looked again. No. How can Alice's vote be betray? That's not possible. Oh, hi, Alice. Alice? She was standing inside the second room from the left. The room that should have been empty. Why? My mind was still reeling. Where'd she come from? As I was trying to form a sentence, she began to move towards us. From around me, I heard a chorus of muted gasps. It seemed we were united in our surprise and confusion. Alice drew to a stop in front of me and glanced up at the display.
Thought you'd get an easy couple points, huh? Not so easy when you have to look your victim in the eye, is it, coward?
Me, a coward? You got some balls saying that to me after you picked betray. Why are you even here?
You gave me the antivirus, didn't you?
Right.
Tenmyoji told me. Thank you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, honestly.
But you should still be under the effects of the anesthetic.
That's a good question.
Yes, well, I still am. A bit.
Right.
I have a throbbing headache, and I can barely stand. It's horrible.
Okay. So
I'm more
you're
resistant
fine with
to
killing me.
anesthetics than most people.
I see.
A result of my training.
Okay.
I have a feeling Zero Senior knew that. He gave me
Interesting.
way more than the standard dose of that gas when they kidnapped me.
Right.
In any event, a few minutes ago I woke up in the infirmary.
Okay.
Tenmyoji explained what was going on, and I got here as fast as I could.
Right. So you showed up right after we'd gone into the AB room.
Yes, right in the nick of time, too. About 10 seconds before the deadline, as I recall.
Oh my.
You did that just so you could betray us?
Right. What? Don't I get to do that? I mean, it turned out to be the right thing to do, didn't it?
You almost killed me.
You two
You
chose
did kill
betray.
me.
If I'd stayed back there, I'd have lost 2 points.
So you're saying it was self-defense?
Yes.
You're full of shit. Self-defense my ass. You chose betray because you wanted out. You had 6 BP. If I'd pick ally, you would have had 9. That's what you were trying to do, right?
So what if I was?
Are you serious? You would have killed me. Look, I only have 1 BP. You were this close to murdering me. You did murder me, actually. We just saw that. Just admit it. You were planning to kill me so you could escape.
Don't be stupid. I knew you'd choose betray. There was...
Tell the truth.
That is the truth. Why am I the only one getting the 3rd degree here? Look at those results. 2 other people just tried to kill someone.
Fine, Dio.
Yes. If Dio had chosen ally, Fi would have killed Tenmyojin.
Right.
And if she'd chosen ally, Dio would have killed her.
Right.
I don't want to be rude, but it looks like Clover and Kay tried to trick one another.
Right.
Not that it seems to have worked. If either one had chosen ally, the other one would have 9 BP right now.
Right. This is really awkward. I turned to look at the results again. Before, I'd only been looking at my own. I hadn't realized that there was only one word all across the roster. Betray. Whatever trust we'd managed to build had fallen apart. Everyone was suspicious of everyone else. Had it been the bombs? Or had it been something else? Whatever the reason, if it kept up, we'd never manage to escape. We'd be trapped in a cycle of 0-point rounds for the rest of our lives. Something had to be done. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. All right, guys, pay attention. You've probably already all figured this out, but we can't keep going like this. If we don't start being a little more trusting, we're never going to get out of here. We need to work together. I might as well have been talking to a wall.
My apologies, Sigma, but I need to think on something for a bit.
Okay.
I would appreciate being left alone.
Okay.
I'll be leaving too. Things are getting a little too intense here for my delicate constitution.
Right.
Sorry.
Dio.
Well, in that case...
It too fine.
Yeah, sorry.
Without another word, she turned and left the warehouse. Dio and Quay. Dio and Quay. Right. That's his name. Dio and Kay quickly followed suit.
See? There's your answer. In the end, everyone's just thinking about themselves. So I would appreciate it if you could not treat me like I'm the only villain here. Come on, Clover. Let's go.
Hold on! I'm coming! Are you feeling okay? I was really worried, you know?
I watched them walk away, Clover practically jumping with delight to have Alice back. Before long, they reached the yellow door and disappeared beyond it. Okay. Bye.
Everyone's gone.
Right. You aren't going to leave too?
No,
Are you sure? I chose Betray.
I know, but I still believe in you, Sigma.
Luna, thank you.
I think your hand must have just slipped or something,
Right.
right?
My chest hurt, and when I blinked, I felt something hot and wet prick the corners of my eyes. Luna, I bit my lip. Before I could think of anything to say, the metallic rumble of the doors closing echoed through the warehouse.
The Ambidex round 3.
Okay,
Star
round
key.
3,
There
star
is
keys.
the
No
Ambidex-
use, limit, blah, blah, blah. As many times as we want, huh?
Yes, as long as we have the star keys.
Right.
That means we can keep playing the AB game over and over, too.
Indeed.
Sigma? Could you show me your bracelet?
Right.
Do you remember
Why?
what Zero Jr. said?
Okay.
As soon as the gates close, the pair and Solo assign.
Right. Yeah, I remember. Let's see here. I'm a cyan pair. What about you?
I'm a magenta pair.
Okay. I wonder what the others are.
It could be anything, I suppose. We won't know until we have a look.
Right. We've got about 80 minutes until the next set of chromatic doors open. So, what should we do now?
Everyone else has gone off on their own.
Yeah. Physically and emotionally. I really don't like how this is going. It won't matter how many times we repeat the AB game if nobody trusts anybody else. We'll never we'll never be able to get out of here.
Maybe it would help if we all had a common goal.
Right?
Something to unite our hearts and minds.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah, but we've already got something like that. We all want to get out of here. That seems like a pretty clear goal to me, but everybody chose betray. Including me.
Well, what if we have an enemy?
An enemy?
Yes, a common foe.
Right.
Like the person who set the bombs, for instance.
Fair. After coming back from the lab, I told her about the bomb when she gave Alice and Quark the Accelavir. Yeah, that might work. If we can figure out which one of us planted those bombs, then everyone else would work together against them.
Right.
But how do we figure out who it is?
Well, do you have any clues?
Clues, huh? That's right! The memory card. I pulled it out of my pocket and held it towards her.
What's this?
I told you, a memory card. It was under the bomb we found in the lab. I think whoever set the bomb dropped it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what's on it, though. We couldn't find any kind of memory card reader.
Oh, I guess we can't really use it then.
Right.
Oh, wait a second. You know what? I think I might have seen something.
Okay. Huh?
Yes, I remember. The infirmary.
Oh my!
I saw it when I was searching the infirmary with Theo and Quark.
Right.
There was a memory card just like that one.
I see. Then...
Yes, I think we can see what's on it. The
Nice!
computer there should be able to read it.
Cool. Let's go then. Luna and I exploded into the infirmary, nearly running into Alice, Clover, and Tenmyoji. Quark was there as well, of course, but he was just as we left him, asleep on the bed.
What are you doing here?
I opened my mouth to retort, then thought better of it. If I really wanted people to start trusting each other, well, real change starts at home. As quickly as I could, I explained the second bomb and the memory card, and how we'd come to the infirmary in hopes that we could discover the contents of the latter.
Okay.
Then stick it in already!
Go ahead.
Right. Just as Luna had said, there was a small slot under the screen, exactly the size to fit a memory card. Within moments, the screen was filled with what appeared to be random letters. What is this?
6 rows, 22 letters each.
It looks like the odd rows use one set of letters, and the even rows use another set.
Okay.
In other words, the first 2 rows just repeat.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this some kind of code or
It
something?
doesn't look random to me. I think there might be a pattern. I just don't know what it is.
Was there anything else on there? No, it doesn't look like it.
Okay. So all we get is this gibberish. Hey Alice, you haven't said anything for a while. What's up?
Does any of this look familiar to you, Clover?
What do you mean?
Have you seen something like this before? Maybe during your training?
Training?
This is...
So you do recognize it.
Okay.
All right, knock it off, you two. How about you share it with the rest of the class?
Right. That would be nice. Alice sighed and stretched her neck from side to side.
I believe this is an encoded message from a terrorist organization.
Oh my!
What?
They call themselves the Myrmidons.
Okay.
What are the Myrmidons?
Put simply, they're a bunch of thugs who are trying to destroy or dismantle most of human civilization.
Okay.
So this thing we're looking
That's,
at,
scary.
you think it's theirs?
Well, they have a number of different codes, but I do think this is one of them.
I see.
Then the bomb? It was set by one of the Myrmidons, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yes. Well, I can't say for sure, of course, but it seems likely.
Right. Do you have a way to, Damn, I have got a ton of questions for you. But let me start with this one. What the heck does that thing say?
I don't know. How am I
What?
supposed to decode it? I don't have the key. Without
Okay.
a key, it would take literally hundreds of years to decode.
Oh my.
What about you, Clover?
Well, if Alice doesn't know how, I sure don't.
Right.
See,
Well, not much we can do then. We can come back to that code stuff later. I've got another question. Alice, Clover, who the hell are you? Why do you know about this code?
That's...
You told me your job was to eliminate enemies of the state, or something like that. Just what the hell kind of a job is that? I think it's time you told us what you do.
Sorry, but I can't.
Okay. Why not?
Because you might be one of them. You might be the person who set the bomb.
Oh my! That's idiotic. Of course I'm not.
Really? And where's your proof?
That's a fair point.
For all I know, you're my enemy. I can't tell you anything.
I'm not your enemy. I'm your ally. I'm your friend. I don't know if that argument's gonna float. I just want all of us to get out of here. Just, please, tell us. Please. We need to find out who did this so we can all escape. But we have too little information. We need your help. Fine. If you won't tell us about it, if you won't tell us about yourself, then just tell us about the Myrmidons. What else do you know about them?
I'm sorry.
Before I could blink, she'd leapt up and run out of the room. Of course she would. Hey, wait, Alice! I took off after her. Running. Oh,
How long
hi!
are you going to keep following me?
Until you tell me what you know.
Then why don't you just ask Clover?
Clover?
You already know she works with me.
Well,
Then
yeah.
why don't you...
I wanted to hear it from you.
Why?
That's a good question. Remember the crew quarters? Or this garden? We got paired up for 2 separate rounds. That means I've spent more time with you than anybody else here. Maybe that's it. I guess I'm just curious about you.
What are you talking about?
Very good question. She spun around to hide it, but I caught a blush of red on her cheeks. We walked down the path to where it ended, next to the pond. I stayed silent. Alice sat down on the bench. We gazed at the smooth surface of the pond for several long minutes before she began to speak.
You don't hate me?
Oh, I forgot I played here too. What? Why?
I tried to kill you.
You mean in the AB game?
Yes. I was
Water
so
under
scared.
the bridge. The bridge that's behind you.
Who wouldn't be? Kidnapped and locked up, forced to play some sort of bizarre game.
Right.
And then we found that bomb.
Fair.
I know I probably sounded calm, but as soon as we found that thing, all I wanted to do was run away from it as fast as I could.
You know, that's very valid.
Things just went downhill from there.
Yeah, they kind of did. What do you mean?
I remember hearing that Quark had collapsed and running to the infirmary with everyone else. When I
Right.
got there, I realized I couldn't understand what anyone was saying.
Oh my.
And everything looked... I don't know how to describe it. It was like watching a video on fast forward, only it was real.
Oh my.
Then I started to feel like... It's hard to explain. I guess you could say I didn't feel like I was myself, and it only got worse.
Okay. That was probably the Radical 6.
Yes, I think so. I don't remember much after that. But when I woke up in the infirmary, suddenly all that fear was back.
Right.
So all I could think about was getting out of this place as fast as I could.
Okay.
It never even crossed my mind that it could kill you. God
Fair.
help me, even if it had, I don't think I would have cared. See? I'm horrible. You hate me, don't you?
No, we don't.
Just do it!
I know that there's people on the internet that do, but I don't. And Sigma doesn't. What?
Kill
do what?
me! Get it
No!
over with!
No! What the hell, Alice? I'm not gonna kill you. I don't even hate you.
You're lying! I could have killed you! I would have killed you!
Come on, calm down. No one's killing anyone. Not if I can say anything about it, anyway. A single tear rolled down Alice's cheek. then another, and another, leaving shining lines across her face. When I reached out, I saw her tense just slightly. Slowly, I brushed my thumb across her cheek and off, taking her tears with it.
Why are
Okay,
you doing this? You
that's a
know,
very good question.
You kind of remind me of my father.
Okay. That's who you were after, right? The people who killed your dad?
Yes.
Did they have anything to do with this, with the Myrmidons?
Will you promise not to tell Clover that I cried? If
Come
you
on.
Keep your mouth shut. I'll tell you what you want to know
Okay.
about myself and about the Myrmidons. Deal?
Roger Dodger. Sure. My lips are sealed. What crying? I don't remember any crying.
Good. All right then.
Okay, story time. Alice took a deep breath and began. Do I have to read this, or it just... Okay. I have to read this. Okay. My father is Egyptian, but my mother is French. They met while my mother was in Egypt on vacation and married shortly thereafter. When I was 3, we all moved to the US. My father was a scientist, and his field was cloning. He was recruited by an American lab, which was why we moved. Both of my parents had used English around me from the time I was born, so I didn't have any problems adapting to life in the United States. By my 9th birthday, we'd been there for 6 years. That was when it happened. In the middle of the day, my mother showed up at school. Her eyes were red and puffy, but she didn't say anything to me on the drive home. When we arrived, blah, 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 blah. When we arrived, there were several policemen there to meet us. My father had always been a very punctual man, and when dinner time came and went with no sign of him, even I began to realize something had happened. It wasn't until several years later that I finally learned the truth. My father's lab had been attacked by terrorists, and he'd been kidnapped. For the rest of my childhood, my mother raised me by herself. I didn't realize it then, but it must have been incredibly difficult for her, as a single mother alone in a country where any relatives were a transatlantic flight away. She did her best not to let me see it, but every so often, when she thought she was alone, the mask would fall away, and in every line of her face, I could see exhaustion and loneliness. As much as I missed my father, it was those moments that made me wish more than anything that he'd never been taken away. That he'd never been taken. Blah, 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 blah. Fortunately, I was an excellent student and did especially well in math. I earned a full-ride scholarship straight out of high school and spent the next several years studying. After graduation, I took a job with the Department of Defense, hoping that they might have the resources to help me look for my father. I was immediately assigned to the Special Office of Internal Security. Their purpose is to investigate and sometimes deal with terrorist organizations and other serious threats to the state. I could tell my mother wasn't happy about my decision, but she chose to remain silent about it. Eventually, I learned that the terrorist organization that had taken my father was none other than the Myrmidons, although at the time that name didn't mean anything to me. They were suspected of human cloning. Specifically, it was thought that they had been using cloning techniques to copy their most useful members and expand their ranks. The Myrmidons apparently believed that they could use cloning to create a new race of humans. Interesting. Now at last I knew the reason for my father's abduction. The commander of the Myrmidons is a man named Left. We know his name and his gender, but not his appearance or his age. The Myrmidons are closely associated with a cult known as Free the Soul. We believe that Free the Soul provides their funding, but trying to pin any kind of misdeeds on the cult's leader, a man named Brother, is like trying to nail Jello to a wall. Yeah, that seems difficult. Brother is supposed to be fairly advanced in years, and rumors say he's so old he can't even get out of bed. Unfortunately, his mind seems to be as sharp as ever. At that point, I hit a wall. I knew the Myrmidons had been behind my father's kidnapping, but that was all I could learn about them. Then, one day, I got a tip that some of them were hiding in a building in the Nevada desert. I headed out immediately. On the way there, my car had some engine trouble and stalled out. I was trying to decide what to do when an SUV appeared out of nowhere. I'll give you one guess who was behind the steering wheel. Clover. That was the first time we met. There were 4 other people in the car with her, and when I asked them what they were doing, I got what was just about the last answer I'd expected. They told me they'd been locked up inside of the very building I'd been on my way to investigate, and that they were currently in the pursuit of the people who had kidnapped them in the first place. My priorities shifted very quickly. After a short discussion, I convinced them to allow me to come along. My hope was to find the people they were chasing, who I was certain were Myrmidons. In the end, however, we were unable to track them down. In fact, I still don't know where they might have gone. Eventually, I took Clover and her companions to SOIS headquarters. We decided that involving the police would only complicate things. After some questioning, it was determined that the people who had instigated this particular event were not connected to the Myrmidons. We did, however, discover that the mysterious disappearance and subsequent reappearance of several children 9 years prior was connected to Free the Soul. There was also a 6th person in the SUV, although they weren't riding in it per se. A middle-aged man, who I'll just call H for now, had been bound and placed in the trunk. According to the other 4, he'd been behind the disappearance of the children 9 years earlier. We also learned that his pharmaceutical company, a major player on the world stage, was effectively controlled by Free the Soul. More specifically, I suppose, H was a member of Free the Soul and very committed to their cause. Okay, interesting. So why had he kidnapped all those children? Apparently, it had been part of an experiment designed to test the ability of certain people to access what's called the morphogenetic field. I don't imagine you've ever heard of it before, so I'll try and give you a quick rundown. We actually have, but go ahead. Simply put, these people can access a sort of field that allows their consciousness to resonate with the consciousnesses of certain other people. To be honest, it might be simpler to just call it telepathy. The SOIS had heard of this particular ability before, and had actually used it in a number of investigations, so I wasn't surprised to learn of its existence. I was shocked, however, to learn that these experiments had been carried out by a member of Free the Soul. If that was the case, then Brother must have known about it. Sorry, this is the 4th episode I'm recording today, and I've done a lot of talking, and this is a lot of more talking. The thought of him discovering a way to control and harness that power was terrifying. It wasn't too long after the incident in Nevada that another tip about the Myrmidons crossed my desk. This time it claimed that the Myrmidons intended to launch a large-scale biological terrorist attack. My bosses decided that we needed more agents to deal with a threat of that magnitude, and Clover was recruited. Because she'd been a test subject in H's experiment, we knew she had the ability to access the morphogenetic field, and we wanted to put that ability to use. After several months of training, she was sent to her first mission. She would be tasked with the infiltration and investigation of a Myrmidon cloning lab. I was assigned to be her commanding officer. I hoped that our investigation might also give me a lead on my father's whereabouts. At last, I had a chance to find out what had happened to him. I wouldn't let that chance pass me by. Perhaps that was what kept me from noticing the truth. The whole operation was a trap. The lab was fake, and Clover was captured almost immediately. I got there as fast as I could, but when I arrived, the building was only an empty shell. All of the conspirators who had pretended to be researchers and the like had already fled. I searched frantically for Clover until at last, in a basement room, I found her. She had been tied to a chair, but on the floor next to her was another body. It was my father. He looked as if he'd just been dumped there, and when I got to his body, he was already cold. He was covered in dark, ugly bruises. It wasn't until later that I learned he had died from ruptured organs and internal bleeding. They had beaten him to death. Oh, joy. As soon as Clover had been captured, a Myrmidon in a mask had come to visit her. He'd said that unless she wanted to end up like my father, she would leave them alone and tell her masters at the SOIS to do likewise. Blah, blah, blah. In retrospect, they must have known who I was and who my father was. That was why they killed him. Perhaps they thought they were sending a message to me, or that once he was gone, I'd lose my reason for chasing them. Okay. They were very, very wrong. I took Clover with me and left. I tried to console myself with the fact that I had, at least, been able to save her. Sometime later, I received a call from the coroner. He told me there was something I needed to see. There in the morgue was my father, cold and pale on the steel table. I could barely stand to look at him, but the coroner insisted. On his arm were 2 rows of numbers comprised of 8s and 9s. It took me to recognize my father's handwriting. He had carved them into his own skin. On his chest was another message, but they were letters this time, not numbers. Not many, just enough to make a short sentence. I love you, Alice. Oh my. I broke down crying, right there in the morgue. They were the first tears I'd shed since the operation had started, and there was no stopping them. Sorry, I'm running out of steam. There would be no forgiveness. Not for the monsters who put my father through this. They'd destroyed my family. I would make them pay, even if I had to die to do it. That night, I made a promise to myself. I would avenge my father. It didn't take long to figure out that the numbers he'd written were latitude and longitude. They pointed to a chemical factory that had been disguised as an abandoned building. Further investigation revealed that it was the mother lode we'd been looking for, the headquarters of the Myrmidons. Oh dear. I'm sorry. I think my father must have known how things would turn out. Knowing he was going to die, he'd written the directions to our enemy's fortress on his own body. He'd sacrificed too much for me to waste this opportunity with recklessness. This time our operation would succeed. This time I wouldn't let my excitement put Clover or any of my other agents in danger. So we took our time. We gathered information, we did our research, and we planned. Finally, we were ready. December 25th, 2028 was going to be the day we finally set foot inside the Myrmidon stronghold. But then, on the 22nd, only 3 days before the operation was scheduled to begin, a man in a gas mask appeared. Oh, thank goodness. So you inhaled the gas, passed out, and woke up here in the AD room?
Well, there it is. Everything that's happened with the Myrmidons and me.
Right.
I left a few of the details out, of course, but you get the idea.
Fair? Yeah. Thanks. She gave me a sad sort of smile and stood up.
We should go back.
Oh, yeah, probably. Not yet. Your story explained a lot, but there's still one big question.
Which is?
Who here is a Myrmidon? One of us planted the bombs, and based off the code we found, it's pretty clear that person is a Myrmidon, right?
Yes.
And I agree that we need to figure out who they are.
What do you propose we do?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Do you have any clues?
Well, if I could decrypt that code, it might tell us something, but...
Okay. How can we do
I
that?
told you. We need a key. Without that, it's pointless.
Okay. What's a key?
A key is a key. It allows you to sort of unlock a code.
Right.
Myrmidons usually use this huge string of numbers as a key.
Wait. A long string of numbers. Could that be... But we don't remember because we haven't reached that point in the game. All right. Well. Okay, yeah, we'll save over this. And now, so we've got that, which we need to go do. This is still locked. Which is this again? 5 minutes of life. Right. We're currently dying. Okay. I think... Oh, wow. I think we're going all the way back to the vote. The first AB game of this pathway. We'll probably go down all these routes. Yeah. So, yeah. Look forward to that next time. We'll probably run into some more gates along... We'll probably run into more locks along the way. But it happens. So, yeah, look forward to whatever we discover on those routes next. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!